Hello, and welcome to Not Just Books, the Williamson County Public Library's monthly show on what's going on in Williamson County and at your local public library. I'm Dolores Greenwald, and I'm the Executive Director, and I appreciate your time today joining us for our program. We have two very special guests, Stephen Kiern, who will help me promote the Constitution Week event coming up. Also, I have Stephanie Wycihowski, who is our manager of children's and teen departments, to talk about some new formats in books. They're always changing them and making them better. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. I have a very special guest with me today who is going to be talking about his life as a farmer and about the U.S. Constitution. And his name is William Patton. William, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to do it, Ms. Dolores.
Thank you so much. You live in Rockbridge County, Virginia.
That is correct, yes, ma'am.
And you participated you're now a veteran of the Revolutionary War.
Yes, ma'am. Glad to do that. I was proud to say it.
Very good. Now, you've brought a little bit of show and tell with you today, so tell us about your rifle here.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Thank you for asking. Yes, this rifle was actually made by a dear friend of our family. Mm-hmm. And his name was Josiah Taylor. He is an excellent gunsmith. Anyone needs a fine rifle for the frontier, I heartily recommend Mr. Josiah Taylor. And as I mentioned, he was a dear friend of our family. He made a number of rifles for our family members, and the Continental Army kept him busy during the Revolution. And he made this, and it's been by my side through the Revolutionary War and to this day.
Well, before we talk about your children,
yes, ma'am,
and your farming, let's talk about what brought your family to America.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, my dad was a captain of a ship, Captain John Patton, and he and his family were Presbyterians there in Ireland. They had initially been in England, and the English did not particularly care for the Presbyterians being there in England, so they moved them over to Ireland. And my dad, being the sea captain he was, heard more and more about the wonderful things that were available here in the New World. And one day he packed us all up. I was but a child, and he packed us all up, and we sailed the Atlantic, and we had arrived in Baltimore Harbor, and we were there for a bit, and eventually my family and I arrived here in Rockbridge County. Now, our son, also named John, John has, in the last few years, he has turned his eye even further westward, and he's talking about possibly leaving Rockbridge County and going to East Tennessee. We'll see what happens about that. That'll be his choice, though.
Well, I love Tennessee. That's a good choice.
Well, he thinks it is, too.
Well, let me ask you about this. You've been married twice, William.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And you have 8 children.
8 children, yes. My first wife's name was Elizabeth, and Elizabeth and I had 3 children together before she died, and then I remarried Miss Agnes, and with Miss Agnes, I have now 5 children, so I have a total of 8 children.
And
a handful.
A handful, but I'm sure they help you with your day-to-day tasks on the
Oh,
farm?
always, always. The girls love to milk the cows and make the butter. Of course, I like them to make butter. Indeed, and they do wonderful pastries. Agnes has taught all of them to cook and to sew excellently. You can see I have not missed very many meals, especially since after we ran out the red coats. Life got to be much easier and simpler after that. And then my boys and I tend to do the heavy things around the farm, the planting and the sowing of the and harvesting of the crops. And then we, of course, we certainly love to hunt and to have the fresh venison when we're able to do that. And we have a few pigs, of course, and that's great for ham, and we all love bacon.
Well, you're making me hungry, William, I tell you.
Regardless of the question, the answer is always bacon.
Well, I would expect that life on the farm is better than what your parents had in Ireland.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We, as I mentioned before, my father and the family in England and Ireland were Presbyterians, and of course we're Presbyterians here as well on the frontier. And I wish my dad would have been able to have seen us now. He believed in the idea and ideals of America, and he had already passed away before our country had won its hard-earned freedom. And I know that he would be very, very proud to see where his family is now.
Well, 1786
Yes, ma'am.
is a very important year
That's what I understand.
in American history because in 1787 there was a constitutional meeting opened in Philadelphia at the Pennsylvania State House, known as Independence Hall. And the Declaration of Independence had been signed and adopted 11 years earlier. So, following that, the meeting this year in May 1787 had to do with the U.S. Constitution.
Yes, ma'am.
And it established a national government that you, as a veteran of the Revolutionary War, helped to make that possible.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
very exciting.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Those are kind words indeed, Miss Dolores. Thank you so much. I was but one small part in that conflict. I felt that I did my duty. I felt that it was important, not just to me personally, but for the future of freedom. Certainly here in the United States, but maybe, just maybe, the lamp that we light here will possibly go on to shine throughout the entire world.
That is very inspirational and
you, ma'am.
hopefully very true.
One would hope.
We, the Constitution was actually signed by individuals as well as Madison, who's known as the father of the Constitution, on September 17th, 1787. And I think the Founding Fathers, as they're often called, would be excited to know that in 2019 we are still celebrating the Constitution.
They will be thrilled.
And we are going to have a huge celebration at the Williamson County Public Library here. and the Old Glory chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution are going to help us put it together. We're going to have an old-fashioned ice cream social. We're going to have the ringing of the bells, because after the Constitution was signed, there were bells rung. And we're going to have a face painter, balloon maker, singers. We're going to have an awful lot of activities going on to celebrate. And I just would think the Founding Fathers are going to be excited about that.
Yes, ma'am. Before I leave, you'll have to explain to me what a balloon is. But that sounds like a great deal of fun.
Well, for our purposes, it's going to be like a little toy that kids can take.
I
and
see.
play
So
with.
it's a small toy. I understand that.
Well, for today's event. But we're going to have the celebration on the 15th, on Sunday, 15th of September at 2 o'clock. The Sons of the American Revolution are going to have the colors. They're going to have a color guard. We're going to have the Williamson County Parks and Rec Department, Franklin Bells, a trio of very talented women singing. So we're just going to have a really good time. So parents and kids need to mark that on their calendars so that they can help us celebrate the Constitution.
And you say that's here in Franklin.
That is here in Franklin at the library.
And was the name of the town named after Benjamin Franklin?
You would guess.
You know, that old boy gets his name on everything.
He's just everywhere, isn't
Everywhere.
he? Everywhere. But, and to find out more about our event, people watching can sign up for our newsletters, or they can go to our website at wcpltn.org. And a website is kind of like a newspaper.
That I understand.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and thank you again. I really appreciate you coming today.
Glad to do it.
And talking about the importance of the Constitution in 1786 and today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
It's
you
been my
so
pleasure to
much.
be here.
We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I have a very special guest with me today. It's Stephanie Wycihowski. She is the head of our teen and children's departments at the main library on Columbia Avenue. She's got some treats for us today that we want you to take a look at. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me, Dolores.
Thank you so much for coming.
I brought a couple of our special formats that we have that are newer for us here at the
Perfect.
public library. We've started out with the collection at Maine. We have both Wonder Books, these are a couple examples of those, and then also the Playaways. I'll start with the Playaways first. This is a really cool format for anybody. They come in these orange cases, and we have them for teens, adults, and children's. And what they are is an actual audiobook that's on an MP3 device. And so, it comes with a lanyard, and there's a couple ways you can listen to it. You can use an aux cord in your car that just plugs right into the device. There's a little circle spot on here that it plugs right into, or you can use a set of AAA batteries with a set of headphones and listen to it and kind of wear it around your neck. This is one of the most durable formats that we've found. They're really popular, actually, with all our different age groups at the library, but especially the juveniles. I'm sorry, excuse me. But again, they do take AAA batteries, or if you have an aux cord in your car, you can use those. What's really cool about them is they're perfect for all different types of like exercise, or say you want to wear it around your house while you're cleaning your house, and it's not like a CD where you walk out of the room and you miss part of the story. You've got it fully with you. You can carry it in your pocket, you can wear it around your neck. They're perfect for long car trips when you're trying to figure out, everybody wants to listen to something different. Somebody wants to listen to an audiobook, somebody wants to listen to music. You can just pop the battery in those headphones, or pop the aux cord in, and just be able to, share that cool format with the family, or, just individually if you have a commute yourself. I know a lot of adults nowadays have such a long commute in the car to work.
Yeah, especially
or
here
to
in this
home.
area too.
So, it's the perfect format for that. Again, it's perfect even for people who like to exercise. If you're a runner, it's not something where it's going to skip or it's going to jump being in your pocket, as long as you keep it secure and it's not going to hit you in the chest, of course.
Well, audiobooks are very popular. I like to listen to them when I'm in the car or traveling on an airplane. But they're wonderful, and I guess it's something about being read to. I don't know, but I like it. And there's a lot of other folks. I mean, Audible is very popular. So and you're right. You can do so many different things with this at the same time listening. You can do housework. You can exercise, take a walk, everything. And have they been popular since we've got this new format?
They have. Quite a few of them have circulated quite a few times. Like I said, the juvenile ones are taking off, and actually the company that we get these from, the Playaway company, they've actually started making some of them in other colors also, which is really cool. And so some of those are going to start to appear. Our collection currently that's spread across all 3 age groups, the YA, the juveniles, and the adults, we have about 153 in our collection. And I think it's rare that there's, only a few on the shelf at a time in each of the departments, for sure. So.
Yeah, they're very popular. And for the adults, for example, they have, fiction, nonfiction. They've got a large variety in kids books too.
We also have some biographies by some different famous people. The other cool thing is just finding, once you start listening to audio, finding that narrator or that person that's the reader that just get hooked on them, and then you want to find everything that they have and everything that they've used their voice for.
That really is the key for me with audiobooks is the reader, because there are some that I have dearly loved, being crazy about, and then there are others that it just their reading of the book just didn't do anything for me. So it's very important. And I have also followed narrators when I've looked for books. It's like, oh, I know who this person is, and I like him or like her, and it can make a tremendous difference.
And definitely on the opposite spectrum, you find those that can make or break a book, that you, after maybe 10 or 15 minutes, you go, I don't like the way this person's reading, and I'm not going to continue this one. And so then you go back to either finding another one that you might like, or getting that book in print to then read it in a more enjoyable way for you.
So that's really that's really a key. Now you have something that I love too.
I do.
Wonder Books.
Yes, this is another one from the same company that the company's called Find a Way, that actually brings us both our Playaways, these Wonder Books, and then they also have brought us our Launchpad tablets. But this is something brand new. This is a cool read-along experience like never before. It actually is the book and the audio component combined all in one. And so it brings both literacy and fun together. And so the cool thing about these is that with it being all in one, you're not having to, like the old, some of the older kits that we have where the book is separate from the audio CD, and you're having to grab that bulky box and take that bulky box and then keep up with all the pieces. Where this is all together. There's no parts to lose, it's all combined. And the cool thing about this is it has an audio mode where it will read along to you, and I mean, as you can see, the print is the same as it would be with just reading the
This
picture
typical book, yeah.
format. So, and again, we have these in all different styles. We have them in the leveled readers. We have some nonfiction titles, like I brought an example of the nonfiction. We have picture books, and then we also have chapter books.
And Stephanie, you charge it, there's no batteries
Correct.
or anything with that.
Yes.
You charge it up, you've got your controls for everything is right there.
Right,
It
it's
will
very
even-
kid-friendly. The little green button is your on button. This is your play. There's also a little slider mode that, like, the one side has an open book piece to it, and that's where it will actually read along to you. And then the other side has like 2 little conversation bubbles, and that's something that they created with these, where they make it more of a hands-on learning experience for the kids, and it asks questions as they're reading along with that book, or after they're finished, it would, ask those questions. Again, you mentioned about the charging. There is no batteries. They basically come with an 8 to 10 hour charge, roughly, of listening time, and they take a micro USB charger, which most Android users have at home to begin with anyway. They're the perfect, thing to just take with you on a trip, take in the car. You can read while you're at an appointment. Say you go to the doctor with your child, either they, want you to read a story, or the story can read to them if you don't want to, actually read it yourself. These are great, and so are the playaways. I mean, I'm a huge fan of both. They are a part of our circulating collection, as we've mentioned, and so they are allowed to be checked out you can have a total of 5 at a time on your card as part of your checkouts. The only thing that circulation probably would want me to mention is they are labeled on the front on both these Wonder Books and the playaways to remind you not to put them in the book drop, because they are a sensitive material compared to something like a print book, that type of thing. So remembering to not put them in the book drop, will definitely keep them going longer and keep them, maintaining their integrity a lot longer.
And you've had parents comment on the Wonder Books. I think that's just such an interesting concept. I mean, it's even like what we have online with Tumble Books. When it finishes, if you're reading in the reading mode and you're finishing a page, it'll prompt you, give you a signal to turn the page to the other. I love it, and parents have been giving you good feedback on this, right?
They love them so far, and they want more and more. We started out, this collection is our newest one, the Wonder Books. We've only had these since the end of July. And so we've had them going for a short time. We started with the setup collection of about 71 titles, and we mixed that between the picture books, the nonfiction, the leveled readers. We do have a few biographies in the kids' collection also of those. And they're taking off like crazy. Kids love them. It's really a neat way of having that learning experience be either being read to from the book itself, or having that literacy mode of it asking comprehension questions. I mean,
I like that too. I like that idea because it makes the child that's reading the book think about it.
Right.
And instead of just moving on to the next thing, digest it a little bit more.
And it definitely assists those kids who are reluctant readers and who don't really love to read. I mean, it's especially for your young readers too that are still learning, and they're learning to recognize print, and they're learning to recognize, the sounds, to actually hear those words being pronounced as part of the read along is really, a great vocabulary tool for them.
So, Stephanie, do we have any of these in the branches, a few of them, or do people check them out and then they get them from the Franklin's branch?
Yes. Right now, they are just currently at Franklin, but they can be requested online through our catalog system to be transferred to any of the branches and be checked out
And
from
that
any of the
doesn't take
branches.
very long at all to do that.
A day or two. I mean, we have a courier service that we use for a lot of the branches, so for sure, It won't take long. Definitely, I would recommend, these are a hot commodity in both instances, the playaways and the Wonder Books. So if you're looking for them and searching for them in the catalog, it's best to put in like Playaway Audio, or in this case, Wonder Book, all as one word. And you'll find the collection that we have, and you can look through, browse through those titles and make a reserve on anything you're interested in.
Well, I think the getting the Wonder Books when so many people are traveling during the summer, it's a good idea. And Stephanie and her team have a lot of programs going on. They're graciously helping us out in Constitution Week event, which we were talking about a few minutes ago. But we have so many different children's activities. I'd recommend that people sign up for our newsletter that will tell people, we have story times for different age groups, from babies up to preschool, have excellent teen programs. So sign up for our newsletter, and also you can visit wcpltn.org. And anything else you want to add?
No, I'm just excited to, be here and to share these formats with you guys, and I hope you'll
Your enthusiasm
come and visit the library.
I tell you, ever since Stephanie's been with us, her enthusiasm is catchy. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we'll be right back.
The signs are everywhere. Sometimes you just have to take a second look.
I didn't choose this life. I don't want to be sold every night.
Human trafficking is modern-day slavery, and it happens in our own communities. It happens in plain sight, but can be hard to identify.
They took my passport. They say they will hurt me if I call the cops.
Victims can be any gender, age, or race.
I was promised an education. Instead, I work long hours for no pay.
So take a second look. Join the Department of Homeland Security's Blue Campaign to learn how to recognize and report this heinous crime. Your second look could be their second chance.
Thanks for joining us today. Also, my very special thanks to Stephen Kiern, who helped us celebrate the Constitution and talk a little bit about our Constitution Week event coming up on September 15th. And another special thank you to Stephanie Wycihowski, who is our Children's Department and Teen Department Manager. Find out what's going on at the library and how we're doing by visiting the website, wcpltn.org, and also joining us on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/WCPLTN and twitter.com/WCPLTN. And also on our website, you can sign up for our weekly newsletter, which is the best way to find out what's going on at the main library and the local branches. So thanks again for joining us, and until next time, explore your world and read.